Hey, Jennifer.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Jennifer.
I'll probably leave it on muted most of the time because of the boys. Hi, Joe.
Oh, perfect. Hey, Jennifer.
I'll probably leave it on muted most of the time because of the boys.
Is that you, Lana? Oh, perfect. You're in the dark.
I'll probably leave it on muted most of the time because of the boys.
Is that you, Lana? Oh, perfect. You're in the You're on mute.
There.
There you go.
Lana, I can't see you.
I know, Lana, we can't see you.
She's on mute too. Hi, Kathy.
Lana, you're pretty dark.
We've all told her that. I don't know if she can hear us.
I did, yeah. Maybe text her.
Oh, she's gone.
Do we know who the 231 person is? Oh, they left the meeting.
Kind of getting used to these meetings at home.
Yeah, my husband and I are both on them all day, and so I finally got the noise-canceling headphones so that we didn't bother each other. It helps a lot. Hi, Jan.
How you doing, Kathy?
Can you hear
Doing
me?
well. Yes, we can.
Okay, I can't get my camera to work. I don't know what's wrong with this computer today.
We can see you.
You can?
Uh-huh.
Much better. Much better. It was just really dark.
Yeah.
There, I'll angle it.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Somebody has a TV playing in their background. Now it's gone. Did anybody else hear that?
Not I. I installed the grid. Is there a button I should push so that everybody shows up?
Yes, Jan, if you look in your upper right-hand corner, you should see like a little, like almost looks like a little spreadsheet square.
Yeah.
And just click on that, and then it'll switch to grid.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Jill, you're on mute.
Good. Keep me on mute.
No.
Well, I tried to mute earlier and I hit the hang up the phone button. So because it was red. There's Sherry.
Hi, Sherry.
We don't hear you yet, Sherry.
Being muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
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 Hello, everyone.
Hi, Sherry.
Hello.
Hey, Eric, did you get, I know I sent this late. Eric, did you get the picture of the flag? Or you want to present that or do you want me to present it? Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Sherry,
Yes.
happy pre-birthday.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Sherry.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday, Sherry.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Tomorrow. Hey, did everyone see the email about the design presentation? I know I've heard from a lot of you, but I haven't heard from everybody, so just want to make sure that works.
I plan to be there.
Okay. I think I heard from everybody but Jennifer and Brian.
I think, when was that again?
It's on the 20th at 6:30. It'll be a virtual meeting, much like this one.
Yeah, I can be there. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can be there.
Okay.
I should be able to be there as well.
Okay, cool.
Are we waiting on Eric, or we can go ahead and call the meeting to order? It's 7 o'clock. And just to say good evening to everyone, and we'd like to welcome you all to the April regular meeting of the Tri-County Area Schools Board of Education being held on April 13th, 2020, and being conducted electronically. Governor Whitner's Executive Order 2020-21 prohibits all public gatherings of any number of people, requiring us to meet in this virtual format during these unprecedented times. Detailed procedures by which the public may participate in this meeting are published on our website at www.tricountyschools.com. And we thank you for joining us tonight, and we also ask for your patience as we learn to navigate this virtual environment. And we will be ready for the pledge whenever we have our flag displayed. Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
I pledge
allegiance
to the
To the
flag
flag of the
United
United
States
States
of
of
America
America and
And
to
to
the
the
republic
great
republic
For which it's
for
for
which
which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
Under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty
justice
and
for all.
justice for
for
all.
all.
Thank you. And we will begin with our attendance roll call. If Mrs. Dewey, could we please have attendance?
Sure. Member Ford,
Present?
Member Campbell,
Present.
Gould,
present.
Princer. Present. Powell,
Present.
Fennessy,
Present.
and Dewey. Present.
Thank you, Jan. All members are present and we have a quorum. I don't know where that's coming from.
I don't either. I don't know if my computer started acting up. I'm going to leave the call and come back.
No, you're good. We've got you, Janet.
We've got
Are you
you.
not hearing it? Well, while we wait, it may be a good suggestion for board if we mute mics and then when you want to speak, unmute. That may help with coordination of sound, and then Jill and I can try to help direct the speaking. When you begin to speak, even if if your mic is muted, the screen will turn green still, or we can see you, and then Jill and I can direct no conversations.
All right, good. We're waiting for Janet to return. while we're waiting for Mrs. Powell to get here, our first order of business would be approval of tonight's agenda. And are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Nope, hearing none. Is that Janet? Maybe? Could we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented?
I'll
I
make
make
the
a
motion to approve the agenda as presented. This is Lana Ford.
Support, Jan Dewey.
Motion by Ford and supported by Dewey. Is there any discussion needed? Mrs. Dewey for roll call?
Member Ford,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Gould,
Yes.
Member Princer,
Yes.
Member Powell, Member Fennessy,
Yes.
Member Dewey, yes.
Motion carries 6-0 and one who had technical difficulties. So we're learning. Anyhow, at this time, we'll turn things over to Superintendent Cummings, and he can share with us about good things at Tri-County. He needs to unmute.
I'll take my own advice. Make sure I unmute. I want to start by thanking our food service program, and it's going to be on just food service employees. We have served over 79,000 meals during this shutdown, and that's a breakfast and a lunch every day to students. This is incorporating a lot of people to make this happen, including our bus drivers who are delivering food. We have parapros that are helping make the food, and then a huge shout out leading this is our food service staff members who are packing these and organizing this and getting this done every day. To put that many meals, 79,000 meals together during this time is incredible. And we're gonna in a minute we're gonna share a note from a student just being thankful for that. And I want to thank Lisa Newton and Kathy for their coordination of all of this. It's been an incredible undertaking. Lisa Newton is, before this all started, was driving and getting food and making sure that we had what we needed in order to make this successful. I can't say enough about what they're doing to support our students in this time. So thank you to our food service staff. Incredible, incredible work. For our parapros going to support, our teachers are supporting, our bus drivers delivering those meals every day. This is a big endeavor. Shelly, our transportation director, she's doing a great job coordinating things. And so just a big shout out and a big thank you to them. And I'm just so thankful for what they're doing and seeing that continue. So great work by them. I'm very pleased to see that all happening, and the coordination to make that happen is not a small undertaking. So thank you very much for doing that. So very pleased with that. So anyhow, from there, just a couple things I'm going to add from there. We're excited to start remote learning. Our remote learning plan that was given to us by the state is close to getting ready. So a lot of planning going in for that. I'll get into that more in my superintendent report as well. But just a lot of good things and good work happening around the district during this time. So congratulations to our staff. Keep up the great work.
Pretty incredible, the amount of effort that it's taken, and what a wonderful opportunity to support our kids and our community. And congratulations and thank you so much to everyone who's been a participant in this. Really means a lot. And then as we move, we're going to presentations, part of our evening, and Superintendent Cummings will start us off and talk about the class of 2020 graduation credit requirements.
So one of the suggestions, and I think, Eric's going to present this document to you. You should have received this in your packet for graduation credits. Is the Tri-County Area Schools has a credit requirement of 22 credits in order for a student to graduate. That is above the 18 credits needed to graduate by the state. I'm going to recommend tonight, because of the COVID-19 and the inability for some of our students to get in, maybe make up or finish some of those credits that they could be, and to support the class of 2020 graduating on time as they would have, that we go to the state minimum requirement, which is 18 credits. They have to have their 4 English, their 4 years of math, 3 social science, 3 social studies. their physical education, health, and then world language. And I believe it's a total of 18 credits is when we combine all that. And my recommendation to the board is that we make a temporary change for the class of 2020, that they move to the Michigan Merit Curriculum requirement for credits to graduate, and that would be 18 credits. Once this is approved by the board, we will continue working with our senior class, pulling their data to ensure that they have enough credits to graduate. We want to inform those students as soon as possible that they've met the credit requirements in order to graduate. Any questions?
No, we'll be asked to vote on this evening because of the timeline here.
Correct. Typically, we'd vote on this in May, but in order to make sure that we can get this information out to students, we needed to vote on this tonight so that we can run these reports and inform students and parents that their child has met the graduation requirements.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Janet, I think your asked question, you're muted. Janet.
Mrs. Powell, for comment?
Yep. I do have a question for Al.
Yeah.
The governor had stated that anybody who was on track to graduate, that they needed to be allowed to graduate. Do we know if most of our students were on track, or is this going to change it and make more of them eligible to graduate?
I would say this will help support more students being eligible to graduate. A lot of the students we're working on elective classes, and some of them take extra elective classes in order, to meet this requirement during their senior year, because you kind of front load your freshman, sophomore, junior year with those core classes you have to take. So this will help more students be able to graduate. Any student that currently or that may have been failing a course, they're not going to, they'll receive an incomplete at this time. And then our senior teachers are going to work with those students, making sure that they can complete that credit so they'll be eligible to graduate. But no student will receive a failing grade during this fourth quarter. We're going to move it to an incomplete, and then we'll work on that being a credit or no credit versus a graded grade for those students. Certain students may want to take their grade as March 11th if they were getting an A. I would suggest that to help their GPA, but I don't think all students will choose that. So we're going to do everything we can to help those students. And obviously, just like in years past, we've had some students that were, if there are 1 or 2 credits close to that 18 credit, we're going to have them, we'll finish up and, when we can get back together and help them with online classes or whatever we can. What we want to do is support students graduate.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Questions from any other board members? No? All right. At this time, we'd like to welcome our finance director, Mrs. Kathy Coffin, to talk about a couple of things tonight, the emergency meals program and the food service management bids.
Well, good evening. Excuse me. So we'll talk about the emergency food assistance program first. That, excuse me, we found out about, and within 3 days managed to get buses involved and food made. And it was just an incredible task by our food service staff and our transportation department. And we spent hours and hours in conference calls and trying to figure out the best way to do everything. So kudos to everyone for coming together. It's just built great teamwork. But this came up, one of the buses, a week or so ago, and I just wanted to share this because this is what it's about. It says, "Dear lunch ladies, I am writing this letter to say thank you for just taking time to help people that are in need of help. I just want to let you know that I am so thankful that you use your break to help out and make people's day a little better. It is a win-win because it probably makes your day by seeing kids so happy." And I just thought that said it all. So just to give you some finances on this, this was what was in your board packet, and this was as of last Wednesday. Now, as Al had stated, as of the end of the day today, we have delivered 79,194 meals, which is absolutely incredible to me. But at this point, we've had a total of 64,460 meals, and that's bringing in approximately $211,000 in reimbursement. But there are several cost factors in the whole program itself. We're at about $64,000 in wages. We're at about $45,000 in transportation and about $100,000 in food, which brings us to about $208,757 in estimates, meaning we have a gain of around $3,000 to $4,000 at this point. This will do a couple of things because some of these wages, because we have parapros and food service and everybody working, that instead of those getting charged to general fund, they will get charged to the food program, which does give some relief to the general fund to help for the ending of the year. Same with the transportation costs as well. This is considered the summer feeding program, so we are using those codes. So when I do present their budget next month or in June, when we determine when we're going to do that, then that will be separated from our normal food service program. So first of all, are there any questions regarding these costs?
I don't have any regarding the cost, but I do have a question.
Okay. Can I finish? We're showing you a couple more things, Jan, and then we can do some questions at the end. Does that make sense?
Sure thing. Yep. Sorry.
Thank you. So I did want to show you some really cool things because I thought that this was really important. I thought that what I've seen, the relationships being built between food service staff, parapros, and the transportation staff has just been phenomenal and fun to watch. So despite, you can see the social distancing as they're on there doing production, putting the meals together for the kids. You can see that we're honoring the social distancing as you know, as best as we can. We've got it set up as safely. We do have them come in every morning. They have to fill out a questionnaire and answer the health department questions. We take their temperature. They have to wash their hands, glove up, and we go from there. If they are dealing with the public at all, they have to wear masks. But during production, they do not. We have talked to many other districts that are doing it the same way that we are at this time. And then just the amount of food has just been incredible. So you can see these are a bunch of breakfasts, and these are lunches and breakfast. So it's just, this is, and then getting them out to the buses and getting them loaded on the buses. I'm sure many of you saw the video that Mr. Reed put out. So yeah, so pretty incredible. So Jan, what can I answer for you?
I was wondering how long this is going to go on, and is there going to be a transition between this and the summer feeding program?
So that's a great question. And basically what we have been told at this point is that we are to continue the program till our last day of school, which is for us, I believe, May 29th. And that's really all the guidance we've got. Then we're hearing other things like, well, will this continue? We really don't know at this time.
Okay.
The waiver allows us to continue the program until the end date of our school year, which is May 29th. And then we'll have to see what the guidance is for beginning the summer food program.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Do you want to go ahead and continue with the bids?
I sure can.
Food service management, please.
Yeah. So as we've discussed in our finance committee meetings, we every 5 years, as you know, 5 years ago, we started working with Chartwell, who basically we contract our management piece of our food service department, which is Mrs. Newton, Lisa Newton, who's just done an outstanding job. If you recall, when we started before we started with them, we were running pretty close to the red in that department, and she has, in 5 years, brought us to a very healthy fund balance and able to buy a lot of new equipment. But on the 5th year, the state requires us, because it is federal reimbursement money, they require us to go through a very specific RFP process, which is very time consuming, but we did it. And even with the closure, I was able to talk with Tammy Sells at state, work with her, get this through. And, you know, we did bid opening, you know, electronically, we did a lot of different things. So, but then I have to put this bid calculator together. So I'll just quickly go through it. You've got it in your board packet. But the biggest thing that they do is they get you get the lowest bid per meal. So we get charged like per meal a cost for their services. So for Chartwell, they bid 1.634, and it's SFE is the name of the other company. They bid 2.143. So that in itself won Chartwell 51 points, as you can see, and it gave SFE 35.11 points. Then it goes down into this other criteria, which I basically had to go through SFE's RFP, very, probably about 2 or 3 inches thick, and go through it and decipher what they came up with. Sounds like a very nice company, but I couldn't give them all the points just based on the fact that I've never worked with them. I will tell you that I gave Chartwell all the high points. I think I couldn't think of one thing that I could even say, especially now with this summer or this emergency food program and how hard and effort, just the precision that Lisa has run this has just been amazing to me, and I just give her so many kudos. But anyway, so as you can see, Chartwell ended up with 100 points and SFE ended up with 78.11. So I am recommending for your vote in May that we continue with Chartwell and continue the good program that we are doing at this point. Are there any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Coffin. We'll head back to Mr. Cummings. We have the Montcalm area ISD budget to review. As soon as he unmutes.
Thank you. I'm going to start on page 3 of this, which actually says Montcalm Area Intermediate School District, the general fund. I think in your document, it's the 3rd page that you received. You can see from this information, and first of all, I want to clarify, as we met as a staff or met with the ISD, obviously with the closing of schools, this is going to change for them, but they have to have this done. So just like I believe that we're going to have to do in November in the fall, there's probably going to be an amendment to this, but they do have to have theirs passed in May. So this is something we need to consider as a board, and it's the best information they could give us is now. Their projection at the time that they wrote this was a total revenue of $6,864,282. That's coming from their local, state, and federal sources and some interdistrict transfers. Total expenditures, $7,309,936. That would be a shortfall of about $445,654. Please remember, this is only their general fund budget, not their special ed and not their CTE budget. So it looks like they have some interdistrict transfers that they're going to, or other financing sources that will be in there as well, for $479,000, which would allow them to put a net change positive in their fund balance of $33,346. Their projection for fund balance of end of year of 2021 would be $1,314,178. That's about an 18% fund equity for those that were wondering. So those assumptions are based on page 2 of your information. So if you go to page 2, you'll see they're looking at about a 2.5% tax value increase for their levy. They have the USF rebates, a 1% increase of Section 81. They have an increase for GSRP and transportation, and they're keeping their slots about the same at 659 for the county. There's other federal sources. They have the Section 147C, 147A, the 35A early literacy. Those are all things they had this year. Early college tuition and reimbursement at $889,487 with 100 students enrolled. I am hearing this year that we're getting close to the point with the early college that's starting to fund itself, where we may not have to pull from the ISD general fund balance budget in order to supplement for the early college. So that's good news. This does include the LE payments for $387,000 for business and technology. it's not in the notes, but Lakeview is going to be working with technology services. So there'll be some revenue from Lakeview. You'll see that they actually put Lakeview in the expenditures. Know that that revenue is from Lakeview a little bit too. Includes federal grant indirect costs, removed the school safety grant that they received last year, special ed CT indirect cost transfer of $250,000 and $119,000 respectively. I believe I mentioned those transfers to you when I mentioned before, and then all the revenues projected remain unchanged. Expenditures, they're looking at salary and wages to reflect a 1% increase. They've got the MIPSR's retirement rate at 28.21. That's the same as ours. Health insurance, a 2% increase with inflation. District to stay with compliant with the Affordable Care Act. They did include the Michigan College Access match payment of $18,750. They are budgeting to add 2 technology staff to provide services to Lakeview at $140,000. That's where I'm talking about. Lakeview will be paying for, the services. That's why the revenue's up as well in that area. Early college program costs budgeted at $890,000. Operation and maintenance, GSRP payments to locals. For instance, Wright County runs their own GSRP, so that's at $2,091,958. GSRP payment to 8CAP, and then transfer to capital projects fund of $150,000. My guess is this is going to change come the fall. We'll see what happens with that, but it is something that we have to, the 7 boards do need to pass at this time. Again, this is the general fund budget. We don't pass special ed budget or CTE budget. Any questions with that?
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. The next item on tonight's agenda are the administrative reports. And again, Mr. Cummings will update us on all this.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things to update is just kind of where we're at as a state, TC, and what the remote learning is going to look like for Tri-County as we get this going. So we typically once a week, and it's typically on Mondays, have a state meeting with superintendents, and we've had it with the governor and her office representing during those times, trying to get up to date with things. We're not really privy to any information, so I'll be very clear there. It's more of a learning of what they're hearing, where things are at, and the appreciation of the state on the work that school districts and boards and administration are doing and helping. As of right now, as you well know, April 30th is the stay-at-home mandate. Currently that's where it's at. I don't know where it's going to head. The biggest thing is now because of the legislator was in last week, and because of possible legislative changes, we need to have the possibility of legislative come in to have conversations on what we're going to do with a lot of the questions that we all have, like how do we handle certain requirements for schools reporting. We have a lot of reports, and I'm going to use acronyms like TSDL and REP, and there's these reports that we have to submit to the state, and we're going, what are these going to look like? Well, some of those decisions have to be made by legislation and have to be made by MDE recommendation, much like we might do as a board. So we're waiting on some of that information. We did get the information on that we have to start the remote learning plan. We're doing what is called a mixed media plan. That means some of the work we will do will be online, and some of it will be take-home packets. And currently our staff is working very hard, administration and teachers, to get those packets created and to get the online learning up and running. Today, they had one of their first meetings on operating Google Hangouts, just like we're doing. Appreciate Eric Crable in leading that. There will be a PD this week planning to teach Google Classroom as well for those that aren't using that. We have many teachers already doing that already, but we want to make sure that every staff is aware of that. The plan encompasses, basically we're working at kind of week-long packets because it's just not something we can get out daily. And then we will be contacting parents for feedback. And that's the take-home packets we weekly. The remote learning classroom will be more day-to-day. Each school is going to be sending out schedules kind of for kids. We're not going to try to say, you got to do math for an hour every single day. In fact, the recommendation is not to do that. It's kind of mix your days up as you do this. Monday may be math, Tuesday might be social studies, you might do math, so you're going to see some schedules come out that way to try to support learning at home, as well as to make sure we are educating the whole child, because that was a big thing from the state they wanted. What is the well-being? What is the safety in the home? What are needs of families? What are needs of students? So in order to encompass not only the education portion of it, but the whole child and social emotional needs, We do have a group that is handling the social and emotional responsibility team. They've created a website for resources. And then we're also making sure that phone calls go out to every parent, every family every week. Okay, so each student should get a phone call every week. Each family should get a phone call every week, and touching base with them. Students that we're not able to get a hold of, whether it be through, we're not hearing back from them through our emails, we're not hearing back. That social emotional group is really going to make those attempts to make further phone calls to try to make sure we're touching base with families in our area and in our community to make sure we can make sure they're getting supports. On Monday, tomorrow, Chromebooks will begin being dispersed as of just after 3 o'clock. Talking to Mr. Cravel, we had about 400 people signed up, so we're going to have a very busy day between 1 and 4 handing out Chromebooks tomorrow. I'm very pleased that they were able to get those put together. If further Chromebooks are needed after this, which I anticipate they are once the remote learning starts, we will probably have to do another day of distribution of Chromebooks. The packets will go out on Mondays, and the K-8 packets were a little more, K-5 were a little more easier to assemble because you kind of say kindergarten packet, first grade packet, fifth grade packet, like that. When you get into sixth grade, you have sixth graders who are in sixth grade math, seventh grade advanced math, sixth grade. So it makes it a little more difficult. So you have to get a little more specific on those packets. And obviously high school, even more specific. So we'll begin those handouts. And then if parents aren't able to do online, or they're not able to do a pickup of packets of information, we will work on ways to deliver those packets. We want to do the least amount of delivering as we can, but we understand that we may have to in certain situations. Teachers, again, will have open office hours. They'll be sending those out. Those open office hours will allow students to call in. We've worked with through the IBB process on that. They will be having minimum requirement is 4 1-hour sessions during the week. Okay. Now, along with that, they have some things around. They have to reply to emails and phone calls and different things like that within a 24-hour period, because we want to make sure if parents or student contact any of us, that we have a quick turnaround of that information. I will be working with our phone company to see if there's options that we're learning that other schools are doing, that if I call as a parent, if I'm calling one of our students, it comes up maybe as Tri-County Middle School, not as my cell phone number, or if I do a *69, it comes up as a fake number. We're going to try to work on that, and so we're still working on some details of that. There's some hoops we got to go through to make that happen, but it may be a possibility. This is a big undertaking. We also have to think about our 504 students, our special ed students, and the contingency plans for those students and how we can support them, as well as our pre-K students in GSRP. So we're trying to make this a pre-K through 12 program, not just a K through 12 program. It's been a large undertaking. I believe by tomorrow we should be able to send our template to the ISD for approval. Once approved by the ISD, it will go to the state of Michigan. They will approve it to the state of Michigan. We can do changes and updates to that plan once it's created. We'll also post that to our website. We'll also post the individual building plans to our website, and try to get some links on there for that, as well as links to that social emotional learning website that's been created. There's been a lot to this. I will say the plan, we did kind of, through recommendation, keep the plan broad versus narrow, because of the fact that we know there could be updates. And the more narrow you get, the more updates you have to create. Okay, so when you read the plan, you might see that is broad. When you go to the buildings, you'll see more specifics at the building level versus the plan we turn into the state. Waiting to hear on a lot of other things. I know that one of the things you're wondering is, okay, what does budget look like at the end of this year? Well, we're going to continue to pay all our employees. Okay, even our third-party employees, we've got some agreements there with our third parties. We want to make sure that those employees are taken care of that way. That's also some part of the template and the plan that we've got to create. So I appreciate the work that everybody is doing to make this happen, because I don't see anybody in our district that is not doing some work right now with this. I would say that we'll have a budget update in May. We'll know more when we can get to those numbers. So once we get to May, we can give you an update to that. But there are some things, obviously, we're not running our buildings as heavy, because lights aren't on and we're not using as much electricity. So there's areas of savings for sure. A few areas that Kathy and I had to talk about with expenses. that we're working on, but not to a great extent of an expense that we have to look at. With the state being shut down, I will say that what we are hearing that we need to be aware of is that the budget for next year is not looking as friendly. But I think it's still early. We don't know what's coming from federal government. We don't know what sort of backfill there may be. So I don't want to get too far ahead. But I don't think the budget looks great as what we're hearing from the state. So we need to stay attuned to that as we look forward. I also believe that we need to look forward to what is this opportunity giving us that we didn't think about before. And obviously one is remote learning and the possibility of online learning. And to that extent, I think we need to look deeper into what are the possibilities of Tri-County offering these types of supports at a larger scale while we continue an in-class method as well. So it could be that some of this work may lend us to opening some of the opportunities we can do at Tri-County versus closing the opportunities in this time. So we can think in broader terms. So been very different, I think, for all of us. This is a normal day for me. And probably for Kathy, and we sit in front of a lot of these meetings, and I'm sure for many of you that are working from home, but we're making it through. I think that as we start this plan, I said this in the video I put out the other day, by the way, our remote learning plan starts April 20th, and we looked at a calendar that would allow us to still finish on May 29th based on the recommendations from the state. What I would say is the new normal, we have to have some grace and some patience. And I think that, again, goes both ways. I would anticipate an 18 to 24 month kind of rollout for curriculum to make this all happen. And we're trying to do it in 2 weeks. We did food in 3 days. And when we started the food program, we had some bumps. Where's my food? You didn't stop at my house, or how are we doing this? And we had to make changes. We're going to make those changes. We're going to get caught up. We're going to support students. We're going to work where we can. There's things on the back burner that we're working on. We want to continue to support people getting internet access. We want to support people, getting their materials. And so we know that over the next weeks that we're going to have to make those adjustments to try to support students. We also probably going to find out information on different ways we can support students as we get more information from both the state and federal government. So we're pleased to see that. I will share with you that Eric has opened up the Wi-Fi at our buildings so that if a student wanted to go park in front of a building, you'd have to be fairly close. You could get on the Wi-Fi at Tri-County area schools. Okay.
That's good.
And I do know that other schools and other areas are opening up the Wi-Fi. And I know this is a large conversation at the state level as well. So with that said, that's where we're at. It's kind of encompassing our days and our hours right now as we continue to work toward this. Today, I think, was kind of a big wake-up call day for admin and teachers. They went, okay, we really have to have this ready by next week. I know that there is a little bit of pressure today with our staff, but they're doing a really good job getting things going. So a big thank you to our administration team who has been diligent in getting this work done, getting letters out. I believe letters are going home tomorrow from each principal. I appreciate our principals are working together to make sure letters kind of go out at similar times, so parents are getting those around the same time. Appreciate Sherry's work on the website. She's working on some flyers. And Kathy on the budget. Eric has done a tremendous job with our technology, getting carts broken down, getting this ready, getting PD set up. I mentioned Shelly and Lisa, the work they're doing with food service and drivers. And then I got to say a thank you to Tom, who's getting into buildings and checking things, because these are the times when you think, well, the buildings are shut down. Why go check them? But just something happened. And so he's getting around making sure those buildings are getting kept up every day. And appreciate that. We're also been able to get to a few things that kind of would be summer items. For instance, we've done some cleaning of the high school chem room, make sure that our chemicals get up to date for the MSDS sheets. And so there's been a few things that we've been able to get ahead on with that. I don't know what construction is going to look like this summer. As you know, that we are looking to do the peel paint that's in the high school gym and the ceilings. We are going to kind of get bids out, and I think we have a bid out for that. But depending on how long this goes will be dependent on if that can get completed or not, because we just got to see if there's going to be workers for that. But that is part of the bond project to get that peeling paint done. We do need to get that done at some point. So appreciate everybody and the work they're doing. It's a lot of work. Appreciate you guys being here tonight, doing this differently. But thank you very much. And I will admit that this is a different normal for all of us. And I've had if you get my 4 o'clock emails, that's because my head's spinning at 4:30. I'm thinking, okay, what do we got to get done today? So, but it's going well. And I just can't say enough of the staff that we have, the parents we have, and the community we have, and supporting each other. I get emails from people. What can we do to help? How can we support? And I am just seeing a lot of things in our community happening of people pulling together to help each other. And so thank you for that, from Tri-County to all of you. So it's been a neat time to see that in a time that's challenging and unprecedented.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. I'm sure I speak for everyone, but we would all like to thank you, especially for the amount of work that you have done, and really what seemed like a smooth transition, from the closure to starting to get the meals out. And that's great leadership, and we appreciate that. So thank you, and thank you to everyone. Is that okay, board, that I spoke?
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Awesome. Our next item on the agenda are board committee reports. And we will start with Mr. Campbell, who chairs the Finance Committee.
Okay, there. I had to unmute myself. So, do I need to hit present now, or am I good?
You're good. You can
Okay.
start.
We're good.
Okay. The Finance Committee met today, 5:45, or right before this meeting, and everything that I actually have that we covered was already presented either by Kathy or Al. However, I do want to reiterate some things for anyone that does see this video. The cost for the food service, it's not costing the district anything. We could have thrown our hands up in the air, but we didn't. We charged forward and got meals out, 78,000 meals. So that's something that the community should recognize, that we're pushing forward to keep families fed. Also, we are paying employees. So I want to state that again. All these employees are being paid. So the district is taking care of its employees and its people and its community. So I want to make sure that that's said again. The school is preparing with the Chromebooks, the delivering of those Chromebooks. They're also did some updates in preparation, getting the teachers some updated equipment so that they can properly teach. And so we got that in the hands of the teachers. And we did talk about the other thing we talked about was the budget. The community does need to realize that we may have some savings because of reduced expenses in utilities, buses, but those cost savings are going to quickly go away when potentially our funding for next year is not going to be as great. So we are going to have further discussion on how to, utilize that, and help us get through next year with the funding that we're looking at. Our budget, the day for the budget, it's going to be a very rough budget for 2021. So we're going to have to put something down on paper, and just like everything right now, just take it day by day, and we'll get through it, because we have to have something submitted, June or July 1st there. That's really all that we talked about. Our next meeting is going to be May 11th. And I also want to say that, I don't know I don't know if I should interject this, but yeah, I want to, thank the leadership of the school right now. As a parent, I feel very comfortable going through this, that you guys are doing a very good job, and that my kids are in good hands. So thank you. It's not part of the Finance Committee, but.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. We have a couple of other standing committees. They haven't physically met, but facilities members, if you have anything you'd like to add of anything you've been discussing or next meetings?
Hi, this is Madonna. We have not met yet, but we did receive a report from Mr. Finney this week, and I believe our meeting will be scheduled shortly, and it'll be via a meeting very similar to this one.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we also sent an update out to the facilities committee meeting, which is some of the things that's been happening during the closure as well.
Okay, great. And as far as policy goes, Mrs. Dewey, do you have any?
Yes, just briefly, we're awaiting the spring updates from Neola, and I'm assuming we'll be scheduling a next meeting when we get those. That's it.
Great, thank you. This comes to our first opportunity for public comment. And I don't know if Mrs. Dewey, if you've received any email for public comment for the agenda items.
I did receive one from my daughter, and
That's under general, is that general comments or is
well,
that?
this is in reference to the emergency meals.
Okay, yes.
So is that in the proper place then? Okay.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay. So she asked if someone could read it, and I guess I'm it. So she wrote this more sentence this morning. To whom it may concern, I'm writing this letter because it has come to my attention that the recently implemented lunch delivery service is being discussed and its safety issues are being debated. My family, with 4 children, began receiving lunches near the beginning of this program and are very grateful that it exists. My husband was laid off mid-March due to the paring down at industrial factories due to COVID-19, and I am disabled. This program provided my husband and I relief, knowing that our children will be fed. It provides my family with 56 meals per week, filled with healthy foods such as whole grains, fresh fruits, and fresh veggies. This is exactly what our kids need right now to maintain their health. In the coming weeks, things are going to get tighter for many. Regular weekly checks are going to turn into unemployment checks, and the added burden of providing meals for their kids, many of whom previously received their meals from school, is going to take a financial toll on families in our district, if it hasn't already. I also want to point out that this service offers more than just healthy meals to kids. As a social work student at Grand Valley State and former parapro for the Tri-County Schools, I know that having the bus come by at regular intervals offers some protection to both students and women who may experience child domestic abuse during this stay-home order. As educators, we know that an order like this puts kids and women at added risk, especially when combined with joblessness. These bus drivers and deliverers are a contact to the outside world, even during these brief encounters. And there's more. This is a tri-weekly event in our home. It brings light and hope to our kids, reminding them that someday things will return to a more normal state. I am sure that other children in the district feel the same. My son, who is 6 years old, put on his suit, red bow tie and all, so he could look nice for the bus drivers. As for the safety and viral spread issues, I wonder if the deliverer could request that we all stand back the appropriate distance and place our bags on the ground. Each meal is already individually wrapped and then placed in a plastic grocery bag, so this process wouldn't change current packaging policy and would keep our food from potentially getting dirty. This would reduce the amount of exposure to the bus driver. She would never have to touch our hands during the trade-off, and the social distance rules would be maintained, further guarding her from any outside exposure. My concern if the services cut would be Which is the greater risk, the real but relatively small risk that the bus driver could catch and or spread the virus, or that kids in our district will go hungry? My guess would be the greatest risk is the latter. Kids need access to healthy food right now. This program to me is the definition of essential. Thank you for your time and thoughtful planning. Sincerely, Kristen and Joshua Green.
Thank you for that, Mrs. Dewey.
Mhm.
Do I need to check with Mr. Crable? Do we have any callers?
I don't see anything. How about Sherry? Did you get anything?
I have nothing via email, no.
Okay, and we have the ability for people to live call in, but I'm not.
I'm not seeing any.
Mhm.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Then we'll move into our first order of real business tonight, our action items. And the first item on the agenda is our consent agenda. And this includes the minutes from the March 9th, 2020 regular meeting and accounts payable of $528,280.88. Do we have a motion and support for this?
This is Jan. I make a motion that we adopt the consent agenda.
This is Lana, support.
Roll call.
Yeah, if anyone have any questions or discussion on this before we go to, oh, thank you, Mrs. Dewey, go ahead.
Okay, Member Gould,
Yes.
Princer,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Fennessy,
Yes,
Campbell,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
and Dewey, yes.
motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Our second action item tonight is the adoption of the Michigan American Merit Curriculum graduation requirements. Do we have a motion for this?
This is Madonna. I move we adopt the Michigan Merit Curriculum High School graduation requirements of 18 credits for the class of 2020 due to the governor's executive order mandating the closing of schools through the end of the 1920 academic year.
Is there
Support.
support?
This is Jan.
Support.
Support.
Mrs. Dewey,
Support.
is there any discussion? Questions? All right, we'll go for roll call.
Member Gould,
Yes.
Princer,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Fennessy,
Yes,
Dewey, yes.
thank you. That motion carried 7-0. And our final action item this evening is the 2020-2021 Schools of Choice resolution. This is something that we do every year, and we would need to have a motion.
A motion to discuss.
Well, a motion to get it on the table, and then we can read the resolution.
Okay, I make a motion that we get on the table the 2020-21 Schools of Choice resolution.
Support.
Is
This
there
is Ford.
support? Motion by Dewey and supported by Ford. And Mrs. Dewey, if you would go ahead and share the resolution with us.
Okay, Tri-County Area Schools Board of Education resolution of participation, Schools of Choice. Be it resolved that the Tri-County Area Schools agrees to participate in 105, 105C Schools of Choice as prescribed in the State School Aid Act, MCL Section 105 and MCL Section 105C for the 2020-21 school year.
Thank you, Mrs. Dewey.
Mhm.
Are there any questions by board members? We're a schools of choice school, so we do this every year, I guess. All right, we're ready for roll call.
Okay. Member Gould,
Support.
Princer,
Support.
Powell,
Support.
Campbell, Ford,
Support.
Fennessy,
Yes.
Dewey, yes.
Motion carries 7-0. We are at our second opportunity for public comments this evening. For general comments, are there any emails to be addressed at public comment, Jan?
No,
No.
no
Or
emails.
Mrs. Wheeler?
No,
Any
No,
callers?
none received.
Let me see. All right, we head into board comments, and this is an opportunity for each of our board members to share anything and everything that they would care to share with us. I don't know if you'd like me to call on each of you, or we could tell you could just unmute. Mrs. Dewey, did you have anything to offer tonight?
I don't. I don't have anything to add other than I'm so proud of our district for
Okay.
pulling together and the work everybody's doing. It's just amazing.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Mrs. Powell, do you have anything?
No, but Jennifer's, your son's behind you giving you rabbit ears. That's all.
We appreciate it, though. We really do appreciate it. You don't
It
get
was
that at a
cute.
regular board meeting.
Best board meeting ever.
Yep, it is. Best board meeting. It made us all laugh. So
Speaking of which, Mrs. Gould, do you have anything you care to, any comments tonight?
Nothing at this time.
Thanks. And how about Mrs. Ford?
I just have a couple of things as usual, don't I? I attended a webinar last week, and it was a national webinar on equity in education during these challenging times. I guess I just wanted to say that, you know, a lot of times we feel isolated being a small rural school, and that maybe our problems are unique and our challenges are, but let me tell you, everybody from Alaska to Maine to Mississippi to Michigan, we're all going through the same thing. And I think we're far above and beyond many schools in other states. So I just want to give kudos to Al, the leadership of our admin team, and all the teachers that are working diligently, again, to serve the needs of our students. So again, really appreciate all you do, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll pass that to the
Thank
other
you,
admin.
Mrs. Princer.
I don't think I have anything addition to add. Just again, thank you for all the hard work, and I really appreciate it, and so do my kids.
Mhm.
It's awesome. Mrs. Gould, you got this little parade going behind her. I love it. I just want to thank everyone, board members, Mr. Crable for helping us facilitate this meeting in this format, and all the people that have been involved getting up and ready for distance learning and feeding our community. There's a lot of good things to be found everywhere right now, so it's nice to focus on those, and just wanted to give a thanks. So with no further business before us, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Powell and supported by Campbell.
Some things are
Any? Tradition right here. Any discussion on this? Anybody want to hang around longer? No. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 7:59.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Have a
take
good
care.
day.
Have a good day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.